Hello everyone, it's Helen at Journaling Planet, and today I'm going to show you a very simple project turning a junk mail envelope. This is just one from a charity that I donate to, turning that into a faux first day cover. Now, if you're not sure what that means, in the stamp collecting world, it is basically a stamp that has been placed on an envelope on its first day of issue in that country where it was issued and franked, so stamped with that date of issue. Now, because this is a faux first day cover, I'm going to be using stamps that are very old, and thus, it's not their first day of issue. They probably weren't stamped on their first day of issue, but I am going to be using several stamps to cover up the slightly unsightly elements of this junk mail envelope, and adding some other touches that I think would make this into a lovely pocket for a junk journal. I'll be honest, I see quite a lot of crafters on YouTube using genuine vintage first day covers, and they look beautiful to the extent that I caught myself online shopping on eBay. Can I find some of my own vintage first day covers? And then I put my phone down and said, naughty girl, you probably have all the things in your stash that you need to create something very similar that you won't have a problem cutting up in the same way that you might do vintage ephemera, because it's too beautiful. So I'm going to use what's in my stash as I'm going through this project. I'll try and make it clear what other things you could do if you don't have these things to hand. The most obvious thing to point out right now is you do not need real postage stamps to do this. Okay, you could just make faux postage stamps. There are a zillion YouTube videos on this topic. I made some giant faux postage stamps a while back and used them as journaling cards. You can check out that tutorial below if you haven't already. So there are lots and lots of tutorials on doing that. And so you can have a lot of fun using up scraps in your stash if you don't have real postage stamps. Okay, enough chatter. Let me get the first order of business in place, which is I'm going to arrange some stamps over these unsightly elements, and I'm going to glue them down. Often you see on first day covers not just one stamp, but several stamps that have been issued at the same time, or several copies of the same stamp. Consequently, I am going to put 8 stamps on my envelope because I think it will look really pretty, and also because it helps me cover up some of the unsightly elements. Right, time to get gluing. So I'm going to go ahead and say that already this looks 100 times better than it did 2 seconds ago, just because stamps are amazing. And this time I'm talking about postage stamps. Many people who watch this channel will assume that I am stamp mad because I'm constantly talking about ink stamps. But today I'm all about how awesome postage stamps are. I have quite the collection, as you might imagine. I often find them in thrift stores for nothing at all. No money, like less than a penny each, less than half a penny each. So it's worth picking them up when you see them under those circumstances. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is try and cover up this rather unsightly, free post address that was on the envelope when I got it. I have decided, in order to do this, that I am going to cover it up with, or nearly cover it up, as this is been cut a bit too small, cover it up with a label that I typed a fake address on my typewriter. And you can tell it's a fake address because I've tried to do it in French and pretend it's in Paris. And I've tried to say, the road of the beautiful garden. I took GCSE French. I don't know if that is anywhere near what it should say. However, I think it looks better than the free post address and definitely more vintage. So that's that covered up. And yes, you can see a little bit coming through, but I'm not worried about that. That is largely that covered. Next thing, well, this is a bit unsightly. I'm just going to look in my little stash of things. I have some things like this for when I post things out for my business. So I think I'm just going to throw that over there. And, you know, that covers that up. I mean, already, folks, this is starting to look a little bit interesting, isn't it? I've got this issue here. I wonder if I can just take a couple more stickers. Okay, so just ignoring this bit, because to be totally honest, I'm probably going to trim this off or even rip it off so it looks like the envelope has been opened. I'm probably going to, yeah, I'm going to glue this. I'm deciding this right now as I do this. I'm going to put this down, glue it down, and then rip along the top as though it's been opened, because that's what a lot of first day covers look like. Okay, I am starting to really like the way this looks, but obviously it is bright white and that's not going to work for me if I'm doing something vintage. So I'm going to need to get some distress ink over this. I'm also wondering about if I can use some of my ink around the edges to give it a vaguely airmail style motif. I cut this ink stamp myself. I'm not the world's most amazing ink stamp cutter. It's a very simple shape of a diamond, and I cut it at a bookbinding course that I did ages ago, and I'm just wondering if I can just use just half the diamond shape, just put a little bit of ink around the edges to suggest, you know, it's airmail. Let's see. Okay, I'm not going to say that's perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but a first attempt, it's not half bad and definitely comes across as quite airmail-y. That's a technical term. So as always, because I'm super messy, I've got ink, you know, in places and smudges in places. So this is where I was thinking some ink stamps could come in handy. Yes, ink stamps and postage stamps in the same project. Nothing is going to stop me now. So I'm just going to see if I can cover up the mess that I've made of the front of this envelope using these other ink stamps. Okay, you know, it is definitely within my remit to overdo it on this. So there's quite a lot happening on here already. So let me just go around with the distress ink and see how it looks once I've given it a bit of a vintage look. And there we have it, a faux first day cover pocket for your junk journal. Simply apply some glue to the back, pop it in place. You might even want to create two pockets by cutting it down the middle and having them on a 2-page layout. That is completely up to you, but I think if people looked at this at a glance, they would have no idea that it was once a junk mail envelope. In terms of what you can use about what's in your own stash, you probably already have some ideas. I've already said about the faux stamps. You can handwrite the label. You know, get any label that you have and just handwrite an address on it, stick it over anything that's happening on the junk mail. You can use ink stamps, but you can also write other things on as well as use stickers. So you could, for example, write airmail across it, or first class, or even first day cover if you wanted to. And obviously this was very rudimentary, what I did around the edge with the airmail look. I've had washi tape in the past that's had these colours on it. I really wish I still had that now because I could use it for this, but I did manage without. So you could also do this probably a lot more precisely with a pen, using red and blue pen, just going around and also leaving the white bits in the middle. But I sort of like the slightly grungy version of the airmail motif that's come out with this. So there's alternatives for all the things that I've done here. I do think it beats buying a new vintage first day cover. Although of course, if I happened to come across them in a thrift store and they were just very cheap, I would buy one. But today I feel good that I've not bought something, used some supplies from my stash, and I was right, I had everything I needed to create something similar to what I wanted. And this can now go into my junk journal where I can enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching today. Are you going to have a go at this? Let me know in the comments below. And do also let me know about any of the postal themed projects you might have got up to. I am obsessed with the postal theme, as you might have guessed by my enjoyment of postal stamps. So do let me know. What kind of postal themed projects have you done in the past and how did they turn out? That's all for today. I hope you enjoyed the video and I'll see you next time.